got a shifter, got a Playseat, got no means to install it. But I did find a company called Lowdown Shifter that sells basically all kinds of different mounts, structural support, just all kinds of different things for the Playseat and loads of different rigs, which basically allows you to mount stuff like a shifter or a handbrake or whatever to many different sim racing setups. So this isn't really going to be like an installation guide, more of a quick review, because if I attempt to explain how to do it, I just know I'm going to probably miss something out, or someone's going to try and copy it and fuck it up and then blame it on me, so I'm just not going to do that. But essentially you have a clamp right here I've already put on. This comes with the Lowdown shifter. As you can see, it's sort of branded. There you go. It's just 2 bolts with like a rubber kind of insert. It comes with different sized rubber inserts depending on what you're going to mount it to and the diameter of the tubing. And it feels very sturdy. And you basically get a plate that attaches through like onto that hole, and then you can mount your shifter on. So that's how I've got it positioned. You basically just have to push this back a little bit, so there's room for it to go on, because you can't clamp it on this. I guess you could clamp it here if you wanted to, but then like the mount is going to rotate as you get in and out of the rig, which might bother some people. What I will say is when you do these 2 bolts, there's one there. Hopefully you can see that. There's one there. You need to do them equally, or you run the risk of cross-threading it and completely ruining the clamp. So you would do like maybe like 1 turn on this one, 1 turn on this one, because you want this gap here to be equal. And there should be a gap as well. If they're touching, it probably means you've used the wrong insert, like the insert's too thin, so it's not going to get a good clamp on the tubing. So what are you actually putting on that clamp? Well, this is the version 3. It's the latest one they sell. And that's basically it. It's for a TH8A Thrustmaster shifter. You can kind of visualize how it fits. So this center hole here is going to go, that's going to mount to the clamp, the clamp I just showed you. And then you can kind of visualize all these holes are basically positional holes for the shifter. It just depends how you want it to sit. And then I've already positioned these where I think they should go. They're basically anti-twist kind of bolts. They go either side of the clamp I just showed you, so when you're shifting it's going to stop it like rotating on its axis. Pretty ingenious really. It's quite simple, but it works. Do you know what I mean? And there's the company. And there's my box full of the mounting hardware. So like I said, it's not an install video, it's more of a review. So I'm going to get this on the clamp, and then I'm going to get the shifter on this, and give it a quick test out and let you know how it is. I'll give you a very quick visualization of how it's going to install. So that's how I've got it currently. I might change it, I don't know yet. But you have quite a lot of flexibility with regards to where these anti-twist bolts go. It really depends how you want to mount it. If you want the mount sticking out this way, you would use these bolts. But I want it kind of diagonal, a bit like how a shifter would be in a real car. So this is, yeah, I'm just I'll very quickly show you. You've got the big long bolt here, that goes through, then you have the penny washer and then a rubber washer underneath. And then under here there's kind of like a sleeve, as you can see, this bit here, and then another penny washer, and then a nylock nut. Okay, It's a nylock nut. It's supposed to be really hard to turn when you put it on, because that's going to stop it from vibrating off over time. You don't get a spanner included to tighten that, so I'm going to go and grab a spanner. But you can see how the anti-twist works already. Like, it's on very loose at the minute, and it's just going to prevent this thing swinging out when you're shifting gears and stuff. Again, like I said, very simple but effective. So that's all done up tight, and as you can see, very, very solid. You have two options now. You can soft mount it, which involves using the clamp that comes with the shifter. So you just clamp it on like that, and that's done essentially. I'm going to hard mount it, I think. But if you're the type of person that likes to take all this kind of stuff off quite regularly, you might want to soft mount it. So I need to figure out how to get this clamp off, which means looking at the manual. Although I think I've just figured it out. It's just those 3 bolts in it. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm just going to hard mount it and then continue the video. So I've figured out that that's suboptimal. That's the angle. The angle's just way too diagonal. It's going to take a bit of sort of trial and error. So what I'm going to do instead is rotate this entire base anti-clockwise slightly, which then allows me to realign that straighter. The good thing about it is the plate is very versatile. There's loads of different holes to mount the shifter, and I'm not going to unbolt that. All I'm going to do is take these anti-twist bolts out and then loosen that slightly, so then I can freely rotate it to where I think it should be, which is probably what I should have done to begin with. So yeah, I'll get back to you. And there it is, all installed, ready to go. Took a while to find the right sort of fitting and which holes to use and everything, but pretty happy with how that's turned out. It's just about getting everything lined up so you can hard mount the shifter on, while also being able to use the anti-twist bolts, as you can see. Hopefully you can see under there. They just go either side of the main mount, so it's going to prevent this sort of moving forwards and backwards. I did see another video review online where a guy had basically hard mounted using 2 bolts, one which I've done the same there, and then he did another one like here, but that meant that the shifter was only bolted on the right hand side, as you're looking at it, like 2 bolts towards the right hand side. I thought that's maybe putting a bit too much stress on those 2 bolts if it's only on one side, especially if you kind of lean on it on this side. Do you know what I mean? Like, this bit could potentially sort of lift up or fuck up the threads. So what I did, there's not an actual bolt hole here, but there's like a cutout with the letters LDS on it. So I kind of filed I think it was the letter D I did. Yeah. I filed the sort of like the gap in the D letter and sort of like bent the center out the way a little bit, just enough so I could fit my own bolt there. So now I've got one there and one there, and that much more evenly distributes the load on the bolts and the threads. So yeah, that's it, and then that just clamps on there. I just want to throw this clip in here in the middle of the video because I realised I had done it wrong because I'm a retard, but basically the reason I originally put the bolt through the lettering, like the LDS lettering here, was because I didn't realise you could orient that however you want it along 360 degrees. I thought you could only do it in 90-degree jumps, so like straight on to the left, to the right, or reverse, like sticking that way. In my defense, I've only owned the shifter for like 2 days. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I've took it apart or anything. I just glanced at the manual, and in the manual where it explains that you can rotate that, in the illustrations it shows like 90-degree different positions. It never shows you like an oblique position. So yeah, I put the bolt through the lettering to try and get everything to align up so that's facing forward how it should be. And I then realised I could just rotate that however I want it. So disregard that portion of the video because it's not the right way to do it. So I'll just show you now. This, in my opinion, is an absolutely ideal positioning for the shifter, right? So you have your, if we look at this, the clamp is more or less facing straight if you look, and then you've got your anti-twist bolts there, and the two bolts positioning this are evenly distributing the weight. If you look underneath, hang on, I'll put the camera on the torch. So looking at the shifter there, we go underneath. See what I mean? Like those two bolts are very evenly distributing the weight and the load, and it just works. It's just a brilliant position for it. Very, very sturdy. I mean, look at that, the whole rig is moving. So that's the proper way to do it. It's easy once you realise that you can rotate that how you want it. I'll just sit in the rig and then we can carry on with the video. Now I corrected that fuck up, because I don't think it's fair for me to say that the plate needs minor modification to work. It's unfair on the manufacturer of the plate, because it's not true. It was just a user error. So if we lift that up, completely clears the shifter. I wonder if it would if it's in first gear. Not that it matters. Let's see. Look at that. It rubs on it a little bit, but pretty much clears it. It's ideal. So, if we sit down in the rig, fold this back over, and that is just an ideal placement. That works really well. It's comfortable, it's right where you need it, and you can still fold up the rig. So yeah, that was my fuck up. I'll put this into the video and re-upload it to YouTube, so no one's confused. And yeah, there we go. And then I've used only around 1,000 zip ties. So I've got that zip tied under there just to keep the connection out the way of me. And then I bought these in another video I showed, a cable tidy thing. So yeah, that just runs along there with a zip tie, a few zip ties up there, and then into the back of the wheel. There is quite a bit of slack, so I just kind of bunched it together and used another couple of zip ties. Got a little strap thing there as well. It's fairly neat. It's about as neat as you can reasonably get it. And then like the the USB kind of is zip tied under the pedal deck, and then it comes out the end here, and I've got an extension cable for that as well. The power is just kind of loose as it comes out here. I like to keep it loose so you can be more flexible in where you plug it in. And yeah, that's it. I can't really show me using it because I don't have a tripod, but I'll attempt it. I guess I could do it with one hand in a little bit. So yeah, all in all, very clean, nice looking mount. And there's really not that many options out there for the TH8A, specifically on a Playseat challenge. Like a lot of people just fabricate their own, but I couldn't be bothered doing that. I just wanted something that works, and this works fine. And like I said, you can soft mount it with the built-in clamp for this. You can just clamp it onto there if you prefer. But the way it is now means I can fold the seat up and like it won't get in the way, which is nice. So yeah, that's it. I've actually ordered a Clicks beetle for this shifter, which basically you install it in here and it gives it a more realistic tactile feedback. Like you should feel like a clunk with every gear you put it in, which would be quite nice. I'll probably do a video on that as well, because as it is standard, it's a little bit arcadey. And I've already tightened the adjustment in there as much as I reasonably can. So yeah, that's it. I'll try and get some footage up, but if not, I'll just say that this is definitely worth getting. Comes with all the hardware, but you will need like a spanner to do this bolt up and a few other little things. But yeah, that's it. Cheers. Man, this is so sick. So I'm in the RX-8. I've just come to an empty super speedway to give you a quick show of how it works. So I'm in neutral, as you can see at the bottom there. Clutch in, give it some revs. Nearly stalled it. I have to kind of change gear and steer with one hand, but third, hang on, third, clutch in, fourth, clutch in, fifth. Just hit the brakes, bang it back into second, and there we go. Just give this thing some revs, because it's a fucking wanker, innit? Fourth. Fifth. With regards to the PS5 and the Gran Turismo, all I did was plug it into the wheelbase, and Gran Turismo recognises it, and it works just fine. So yeah, this is sturdy as fuck. That's not going anywhere. Did you hear that? Grating the gears because I ain't got the clutch in. So yeah, that's just not going anywhere. The shifter isn't that heavy, to be fair. But yeah, there's a bit of wobble, but you're not going to be doing that with it. In actual fact, the whole playseat is wobbling when I do that. So yeah, very natural position. You could probably improve it more by getting one of those short shifters. Personal preference. But yeah, it just works. It looks neat and tidy. I'd fully recommend it.